So I'm going to do a little experiment. I'm going to ask you 2 questions. Can you learn? Can you learn the hardest language in the world? It's a really hard language. The grammar is impossible. It'll take you years. Why learn the hardest language in the world?
Hey, olen Hoots. Tämä on mun kanava ja I've been studying Finnish for 5 years. And I still cannot speak it. Finnish is notoriously one of the most difficult languages for an English speaker to learn, and as this Reddit user points out, one of the most useless. It's not endangered. Nearly every Finn under the age of 40 speaks perfect English, and Finland has never been any kind of colonial state, so virtually no one outside of Finland speaks it. Why the fuck would I want to learn Finnish? Well, because my great-grandparents didn't have the good sense to be born in a country with an easier language, like the Netherlands or Portugal. And yeah, maybe all but one of my cousins who still lives in Finland speaks English, but can a bitch learn her ancestral tongue? Can a bitch learn her ancestral tongue? When the ancestors speak to me, I need to know what they're saying. So in 2020, when we were all in lockdown, I started learning Finnish as like a little side project. I started studying with a tutor over Skype, Anna Maria, and did Duolingo and all that trash. Now, Anna Maria got engaged in 2019, and she and her husband had planned on having a wedding in 2020, but that ended up not happening for pandemic reasons, and they just had a small legal ceremony instead, and by the end of that year, they had a baby, who is now 4. So the years went by, we became friends. I almost went out to visit her in 2023, but then had to cancel because I went on tour instead, etc., etc. And finally, at the end of last year, she said that she and her husband were finally in the planning stages of the wedding they'd meant to have 5 years ago. And she asked if I'd like to be a part of it. And I said, hell yeah. This was the chance to put what I'd learned to the test and also visit the homeland. So I invited my best friend to come as my +1 to the wedding and for the trip of a lifetime. She's got our data plan. She's showing us which way to go.
Maybe I am.
This is definitely going in the ad read. This video is sponsored by the good folks over at Saily. Saily is a new eSIM service app. If you're planning on traveling internationally, you'll need an eSIM, lest you wish to subject yourself to the whims of public Wi-Fi networks. Saily's eSIM application is simple to use and cheap. Simply download the application once, choose your country and data plan, and turn on the eSIM. Saily are offering my viewers 15% off of their data plans by going to saily.com/hoots and entering code HOOTS at checkout. One entire month of service with Saily, even at the full price, still costs less than a single day on my current phone services international plan. And I'm feeling the heat from that because my phone is actually not eSIM compatible. So we had to put the Saily app on Tammy's phone. So definitely check to see if your phone is eSIM compatible if you can, but if you purchase a plan and find out your phone isn't compatible, our friends at Saily's will give you a 100% refund on your purchase, so don't stress. Once again, get an exclusive 15% discount on Saily data plans. Use code HOOTS at checkout, download the Saily app, or visit saily.com/hoots. On our way to the airport.
Here we go!
And so we were off on our adventure. This would be the longest vacation I'd ever taken, and I wasn't quite sure if I was prepared for it. I certainly wasn't prepared for the language challenge I'd set for myself. Luckily, while I am frequently underprepared, Tammy always comes overprepared.
Amanda, I brought a surprise.
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh no!
Only one hand.
Oh,
I'm so good. I'm so good.
I'm impressed.
God damn.
Cheers.
We got to the airport with around 4 hours to spare. Tammy decided to put her ER skills to the test when we passed this fancy CPR machine in the terminal. It gauges the depth and speed of your pumps and tells you if you're doing it right. I think these things are really cool and they should be everywhere. Not only is it a fun time killer, but it's really shocking how much effort you have to put into CPR. And I think people should get to experience that before they're actively trying to save someone. After Tammy got her workout in, we decided to stop by the wine bar and toast our journey with champagne.
To Finland! Yay!
After our refreshments, we headed to our gate and awaited boarding.
Oh, this lighting is so good.
Then it was time to board.
Where are you going, Amanda?
No one booked the middle seat, so we ended up getting the entire aisle to ourselves on both the outbound and return journeys, which was amazing. I decided to passively work on my Finnish by watching Challengers in English with Finnish subtitles. I had not seen Challengers yet, and I thought I was in for a very horny movie, and I was deeply disappointed. That makeout scene that's been clipped and posted to Twitter a million times was the horniest thing in the whole movie. And even when it got to that part, I ended up getting cock-blocked by the damn pilot.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay seated while the seatbelt sign is on. We will be on until for a couple of more minutes, but we will continue our service when we are on the safer.
At Lights Out, we did a little spa night and put sheet masks under our KN95s and little hand and foot masks under our compression socks.
Lamps, chops, screaming galleries. Just a casual young lady. Just living her life. This is normal. This is criminal. So weird. Yeah, you're getting a different clientele now.
We thought we were being very subtle, silly girls, but at one point one of the flight attendants came over and told us we needed to be quiet, so maybe not so much. After that, I went to sleep.
In Finland, the bollards are bears.
And when I awoke, we were in Helsinki. I mean, not really. I woke up and there was still like 2 hours of flight time left, but I didn't really feel the need to film that. I kind of felt like we got it covered in the first half. It's a plane. You watch movies and you drink. We deplaned into one of the prettiest airports with so many wonderful shops. Helsinki-Vantaa reminds me a lot of Portland International Airport, which is a total compliment. They're both gorgeous. And unlike most international arrivals, we weren't corralled immediately into immigration, and we actually were able to stop and shop, which we did for a little too long.
The last bags on the carousel.
When we did make it to immigration, I encountered my first Finnish test. I told the immigration officer that I was here for my Finnish teacher's wedding, and he asked, "You speak Finnish?" And I said, "Well, I'm trying." And he said, "Mitä kuuluu?" And I said, "Hyvä, entä sinulla?" And he said, "Väsynyt." And I said, "Joo, joo." And then he stamped our little passports and he let us into the nation of Finland. Once we got into the Uber from the airport, Tammy passed me a little gift she bought me in one of the shops in the airport.
Reindeer socks.
Yeah! Is it reindeer?
I thought so. Is it not?
I thought it was a moose.
The only reason I got you these was because I wanted you to have reindeer socks.
When we got to the Airbnb, we discovered that it was absolutely enormous. Way bigger than it looked in the pictures.
Tour of the apartment. It's fucking huge. We had the house, the 2-bedroom house. It's way bigger than it looked in the pictures. You could hear my voice echo. Tammy's standing out on our beautiful back patio. And just come out here and grill. Holy goddamn shit. We have, oh my God, we have a bike. Tammy, did you see that we have a bike?
We have a what?
We have a bike out there.
We got a bike?
We got a bike.
I want it.
It's also beautiful. Like, it's gorgeous. Okay, so we got a little half bedroom over here. We got little half bath for if you got a pee-pee in the middle of the night and you're staying in that room. Got a beautiful, like, we could easily fit, you know, at least another person on that couch. Probably 2 small people. Bookshelf. Got a bedroom that opens up into the enormous wraparound back patio, little desk. And in here is where the real magic happens. So this is our enormous bathroom, the washer and dryer, shower, and the real thing, the sauna. We're gonna sauna tonight, baby. Oh, motherfucking yeah.
After the treat that was exploring our cavernous Airbnb, we took a little trip to the local supermarket to stock up for the week. And at first we were walking around like, damn, wine is cheap here. And it wasn't until later on when Anna Maria informed us that the government has a monopoly on all alcohol sales that we realized that it was cheap because it was like 8% ABV and tasted like someone poured vinegar in juice. Later we did manage to get to an Alco and purchase regular wine, but I do appreciate Anna Maria giving us the heads up before we tasted that low alcohol version. That would have been a really unpleasant surprise. The grocery store presented one of my first opportunities to practice my Finnish, reading labels and aisle signs and getting to say, "Anteeksi, puhuko sinä englantia?" when the lady at the checkout asked me if I needed bags. We had dinner with Anna Maria that night, and her daughter asked us to come play with her in her little playroom. I gotta be honest, I can't even understand 4-year-old babble in English, much less Finnish, but it didn't really matter. We communicated in the universal language of smashing Legos and Barbies together. When we got home, we wound down with a little low-alcohol wine in the sauna before bed. Our first full day in Finland was a planned chill day, just walking around Espo. I wasn't sure how jet lagged we'd be, so I didn't schedule anything important. The first several days we kept waking up with the sun at 4 a.m., so it was nice not needing to exert ourselves. We were in the Tapiola district of Espo, which is so green and lovely. In fact, most of Finland appeared to be very green and lovely. Even in downtown Helsinki, I was impressed with the amount of green space. 1/3 of the capital city's land area is covered in urban forest. I live in Los Angeles, and that statistic sounds crazy to me. Can't relate. Finland also has some good dogs. Good, fluffy dogs. Loved every dog I saw.
Oh my god. The good boys. Yeah, good boy.
We made our way to the local mall, which also had a little forest installation in it, so you could get some peace and quiet and feel like you were in nature even when you were inside a shopping mall. Also, the toilets in that mall played peaceful bird sounds, so you could feel like you're shitting outside, I guess. The Finnish people just really love being in nature, and apparently they need little hits of synthetic nature even when they're trying on polyester blends in the local H&M. And for the record, I'm not knocking this. I think it's charming, and I think cities with more access to nature and green space feel much less oppressive, and the current American attitude toward the natural world is why all of our national parks are going to be turned into Amazon fulfillment warehouses within the next decade. We grabbed a drink at a little American-themed restaurant. I love seeing what other countries think American food and culture is.
So this is what other people think of America, huh? Obama burgers, a Mickey Mouse glove, and fucking Marilyn Monroe with her tits out.
Nirvana.
Nursing a fish.
We did not eat there, unfortunately, so I can't say how accurate the Obama burgers were, but while we were having a drink, it started to sleet, and I started saying,
Look, satalunta.
which means it's snowing, not it's sleeting, which would have been sataranta. So we're off to a rough start with the Finnish.
Ah, shit, we gotta walk home in that.
But I was starting to recognize words and phrases on signs.
And I get really excited because I know that that means kids eat free, but then I see that there's an English translation below.
And of course, we found the Alco, which was the real reason we came to the mall. We came home with all of our goodies, which included several bottles of liquor, a jacket from a resale shop that fit Tammy perfectly, and this very photogenic korvapuusti. Then we got in our cozies and settled in for a dinner of cheese and wine on the couch while we watched The Simpsons with Finnish subtitles. After which, we finished the day out with our nightly sauna.
Tami saunassa. Oh. Pour that Lulu. Pour the Lulu on the fucking stones.
It's cute.
Make the stones Lulu.
Lulu is the steam that rises off of sauna stones when you pour water on them.
Oh hell yeah!
I feel it in my ears. Oh, my camera's focusing. After sauna, we weren't quite ready for bed because it was broad daylight until 11 o'clock at night every night. So we decided to try out a little nightcap that Tammy found for us in the alcove.
It's called fucking fish shot. And we're gonna try it. God. It smells like Vicks Vapor Rub with a little bit of ouzo. Oh my god. Why does it smell like... Okay, what's in it? Read what's in it. Glad you asked. Enjoy this delicious taste of fish shot in a shot glass at normal temperature, chilled or ice cold from the freezer. Fish shot is also great on the rocks or mixed with various softer energy drinks. Contains licorice. Spiritus mit aroma un farbestoff. It's not chilled or ice cold. It's you can have it just sitting out on the counter. Yeah. And is it product of Denmark? Denmark. Produced and bottled for United Drinks in Denmark. So this one is for the Danish. Alright, I'll just sit right here. It tastes like I'm drinking Vicks Vapor. No, this is NyQuil. No, this is for This is NyQuil. We're gonna be robo tripping. Oh my god. I'm into it. Denmark, you crazy country. Kanska.
The next morning, I practiced my Finnish with breakfast.
Juon kahvia, mustaa kahvia ja syö ruisleipää voi kanssa ja juusto kanssa, mansikaa ja mustikaa ja varelma.
Then we went into Helsinki. Our first stop was the Olympic Stadium because that's where I'd be picking up my bib and starting my race from on marathon day. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, I decided to run a marathon while I was there. So we kind of just wanted to know where the stadium was. The Olympic Stadium was originally constructed in 1938 and intended to house the 1940 Olympics, which were canceled for some reason. Not really sure why. They did eventually house the 1952 Summer Games. We didn't spend too long at the stadium. Again, we were really only there to see where I'd be coming for my race, but we did have a glass of wine in the stadium restaurant, which has seating overlooking the tracks, which I thought was really nice. After checking out the Olympic Stadium, we went to the Kauppatori, the main outdoor market in Helsinki and one of the best places to get louhikeitto, Finnish salmon soup. It's very good and any visitor to Helsinki should try it. Kauppatori is very touristy, it's mostly food and souvenirs, but we were okay with that on account of being tourists. It was kind of a cold, overcast day, so Tammy invested in this super cool hat, and then we grabbed lunch from one of the food tents.
It's the soup.
First louhikeitto. Is it good?
It's good. It's very good.
I also tried Karjalanpirakka, Karelian pies with munavoi, egg butter, which are a popular Finnish pastry comprised of rye bread stuffed with rice. It's a peasant food. It's not particularly flashy. I liked it, but Tammy wasn't a fan. Then we made our way over to the Vanha Kauppahalli, an old-fashioned shopping hall nearby. But we didn't look around very much inside. We were mostly there to make one very particular stop.
Favorite place.
I could have spent all day sitting by the water, listening to the accordion player busking and watching the crowds of tourists and locals meander the market square. But we needed to make our way through the candy-colored buildings of Helsinki toward Senate Square, the meeting point for many of the free walking tours that are offered in the capital city. We got to Senate Square with a few minutes to spare, so quick glass of red sitting in swinging chairs overlooking the square. Our tour guide, Callan, said that this was a particularly busy day in the square. Hilarious. The entire nation of Finland has about as many people as Los Angeles, give or take, so we have different definitions of busy. Callan was a really great guide. It was so clear that he really loved Finland and the history of Helsinki. His tour was incredibly informative. If you happen to be in Helsinki and want to take a walking tour, again, they're all free, but you can reserve spaces so that you get the time and the language that works for you. Ours was called Red Umbrella Tours, hence the Red Umbrella. We saw a Lutheran church, we saw an Orthodox church, we saw lots of pretty architecture. We saw a little less pretty architecture, and we really got our steps in. The tour ended at the Sanomatalo building, which houses the offices of several of Finland's media and broadcasting companies, and Callan informed us that the glass design of the building is meant to represent the transparency of Finnish media. Finland ranks among the highest for press freedom. It also ranks highly for education and democracy, aspects of Finnishness that are also reflected in Sanomatalo's neighbor, the Helsinki Central Library Oodi. Oodi's modern design was voted on by the citizens of Helsinki. It's made of local materials and uses very little energy, and the interior of the library is evocative of Finnish nature, including a little mountain you can climb, but you're not allowed to slide down. I know. I wanted to. Tammy wanted to. Everyone wants to slide down the little wooden library mountain, but you can't slide down the mountain. There are signs everywhere telling you, and they're pictograms, so you can't even use not speaking Finnish as an excuse. Also, they have book robots.
What the hell?
The next day, we made our way to Nuuksio National Park, a gorgeous expanse of forests and lakes right in Espo. But we weren't there to camp or hike or swim in lakes that were definitely still way too cold for anyone to have any business swimming in. No, we had a date with some reindeer. At Nuuksio Reindeer Park, you can get up close and personal with some reindeer. And I mean real up close and personal. We fed these things lichen from our own mouths. I mean real white lady shit. I ate some of that lichen myself.
I'm getting my fiber intake right now.
As the reindeer came out, our guide started telling us their names, first in English and then their Finnish names. I can't remember all of them, but they were all named after things. One was Snow, Lumi. When the guide said the small white one was named Pearl, I asked him, Helmi? And he said, you speak Finnish? And I was like, well, I'm trying. This was the first of several times over this trip where I surprised a Finnish person by knowing a single word of Finnish that wasn't kiitos. Fun fact about reindeer, they don't have top teeth, so they literally cannot bite you. They're incapable of biting you. Also, they have good noses. Look at those noses. Those are some good-ass noses. After we ran out of lichen and the reindeer got bored of us and went away, our guides took us inside of a lavu to enjoy some coffee, and they let us bake some pulla, cardamom bread, over the campfire on a stick. Mine was somehow underdone and burnt at the same time. After I ate my charred dough, we took turns actually starting a fire with flint and some birch shavings for tinder. Neither Tammy nor I had ever started a fire using flint before. It took me about 2 minutes. It took Tammy well, it took Tammy a little longer. After we bid our reindeer guides farewell, we walked about a mile down the road towards a little welcome center and car park in Nuuksio. It was a gorgeous day, the sun was out, it was warm and lovely. The little red cabins sprinkling the green forest just looked so Nordic and charming to me. We stopped for lunch in the little Welcome Center cafe and sat out on the deck overlooking a sun-dappled lake. And you can't really hear it in the video, but one of the campers below the deck was singing and jamming the fuck out on the ukulele for a bit. We cheered him because we're American, and he stopped playing. It was such an idyllic place. If I came back again, I might look into renting a cabin in Nuuksio and staying for a couple of nights. After lunch, we made our way home and got an early night because I had a lot of running to do in the morning. We're having like a little pre-marathon pasta dinner at home. Oh, beautiful. Perfect.
I don't have two glasses of wine, one's blueberry juice.
The Finns are onto something with blueberry juice, by the way. That shit goes hard. And then, our classic routine. We watched Police Academy 4 with Finnish subtitles, sauna'd, and went to bed. Okay, so I know what you're all wondering. How does one learn Finnish, of all languages, and how can one still be so bad at it after 5 years of study? First of all, wow, rude. Secondly, if you live outside of the Schengen area of the EU, your options are going to be pretty limited. Your local bookstore isn't going to carry any Finnish for beginners books. There likely aren't any native speakers near you or night courses. Your best bet is going to be to turn to apps and the internet. I found my Finnish teacher through an app called italki. Italki basically puts you in touch with tutors in multiple languages and at multiple experience levels and price points. This is not an ad for italki. I don't even use it anymore. Anna Maria and I have transitioned to a direct pay kind of agreement, but it's a good option for finding a teacher if you don't have in-person language learning options in your area. I'll address the little green owl in the room. Language apps like Duolingo are not helpful, but you're not going to learn a new language using an app alone. Studies on the efficacy of app-based language learning are surprisingly limited, considering Rosetta Stone is nearly as old as I am. Even the studies referenced on Duolingo's own efficacy studies page tend to demonstrate that language learning with apps usually only get learners up to around an A2 level on the CEFR, and that Duolingo users aren't as adept speakers as Babbel users due to Duolingo's heavier emphasis on reading and listening skills. Babbel, of course, doesn't offer courses in Finnish. And A2 level proficiency is not nothing, but those studies were also on learners studying the French or Spanish courses, which are more robust than less popular languages, like Finnish. When I first started studying, Duolingo didn't even have a Finnish course. I've now completed the course because it's very short and they never add anything to it, and while it's not completely useless, I definitely would never advise using it as your primary mode of study. For one thing, there are grammatical concepts that I simply would not have learned if Duolingo is teaching because their pedagogical method is pretty much just rote memorization and recall. This is the phrase, this is what it means, repeat it back to me. That can be really helpful, but with a logical and grammatically complex language like Finnish, not knowing the why is really going to impede your learning. If you want to learn Finnish to communicate with Finns, you also really need to commit yourself to learning 2 languages, standardized Finnish and puhukieli, or spoken Finnish, which is what most Finnish people actually use in conversation, and which Duolingo does not teach. I've tried to enter answers in spoken Finnish into Duolingo, and it does not take them. Duolingo has also recently announced that it intends on implementing generative AI in its learning in a couple of different ways. The, if it can be said, most promising way AI is being implemented is Duolingo Max, which allows users to have a conversation with the mean goth girl character in their target language. This tool is clearly meant to compensate for the lag in Duolingo users' speech skills as compared to apps like Babbel. The feature is still being tested and unavailable for Finnish learners. And even if it were, the efficacy of this feature is yet untested. The only AI study on Duolingo's website, funded by Duolingo, is a study that measured participants' perceived self-efficacy before and after using the AI tool. It did find a marked increase in users' perception that they felt more confident with their target language, but they didn't actually apply any standardized testing. It was just a survey based on user feelings. Additionally, they didn't even use a group of basic Duolingo users as a control, so it's entirely possible that basic users might have reported similar feelings of confidence after using the app with no AI tools. AI is also being used to generate phrases and content in the app, and I gotta be real, I just don't want to learn Finnish from ChatGPT because, I don't want to talk like ChatGPT. I don't want to have that middle schooler trying to meet the word count for my book report quality when I use my second language. It's somewhat unclear how much of the recent mass layoffs of contract workers at Duolingo were due to AI. Nonetheless, a lot of people have been deleting the app out of solidarity with the human workers, and out of a perception that there has been a marked decrease in quality, perhaps due to AI. For my own part, I think Duolingo has just reached the end of its usefulness to me. For a while, it was a good way to drill words and phrases into my brain, but I've reached a point where I feel confined by the limits of the app and bored by the content it has to offer. Gamifying the app is a decent way to keep users consistent, but it doesn't incentivize internalizing lessons. And in fact, for the period of 2 months in 2023 when I actually tried to stay at the top of the leaderboard, I found myself more focused on speed and guessing than accuracy. During timed exercises, I wouldn't even finish reading the sentences that popped up. I'd just fill in what I thought was most likely the correct answer, or even worse, what I remembered being the right answer from before, without even translating it in my brain, you know? I was not comprehending, I was test taking, which is another one of the issues with the rote memorization and recall method of teaching. The brevity of the lessons and the emphasis on maintaining your streak as opposed to qualitative learning also may work against your learning goals. When I got to the end of the Finnish course, I found myself really only opening the app to complete 1 2-minute refresh a day just to maintain my streak, which was not supporting my ultimate learning goals. It was just to get that little freak duo to stop guilting me. In what can generously be described as a kind of a pilot study, Sean Lowen, professor of second language studies at the University of Michigan, had a handful of his students learn either Turkish or Spanish on either Duolingo or Babbel. Like the larger studies listed on Duolingo's efficacy page, Lowen found that the Babbel students fared better with their oral proficiency. But another thing that he found was that very few of the app-based students studied 10 minutes a day or even an hour a week. Again, this was just a for funsies study performed with less than 100 people, and therefore the data should be taken with a grain of salt, but I'd be willing to bet that those numbers, less than 10 minutes a day and less than an hour a week, would remain consistent in a larger study. It's another reason classroom study and one-on-one lessons are still better than apps alone. Once you're in that classroom or Zoom session, you're committing yourself to a full hour of study that you might not otherwise do. And even that full hour of study is not enough, which is why I'm still so bad at Finnish after all this time. I don't make enough time for it throughout my already busy weeks, so the only time I get with it are my sessions with Anna Maria and my annual Rare Exports watch at Christmas time. Maybe this is why so many people insist that the best way to learn a language is immersion. Saturday was the Helsinki Running Day Marathon sponsored by Saucony. I basically hadn't trained since I ran the LA Marathon in March, so I took it real easy. I was not going for time. If you are a runner and are looking to PR on a race though, this marathon might be a good one. The temps were perfect, the course was almost entirely flat, and it was just a 13.1 mile loop that you run twice. So once you make it around the first time, you know what's coming the second time. When I say almost entirely flat, I do of course mean that there were a couple of hills, including this one near the end of the loop that they lovingly dubbed Maximum Attack and played pop songs and Finnish metal music on. It was so charming. Overall, it was a beautiful course that highlighted just how green Helsinki is.
This fucking Hansel and Gretel-ass running route. Swans, exactly where I like them, far away. Stardew Valley-ass country. Friends!
Meanwhile, in Espo, Tammy ran a little marathon of her own.
Here I am walking to the mall, so I too am doing a crazy amount of physical fitness today.
My bib had the flag of my country of origin on it, so every time a Finnish person saw it, they started cheering me on in English, which was very cute. Eventually, I made it back to the Olympic Stadium and out onto the track that actual Olympic athletes have competed on. And through the finish line. That night, we went out for dinner in Helsinki for Anna Maria's Bachelorette party, and we convinced some of the girls to take us out to a bar after dinner. It's like 9 o'clock at night in these videos, by the way, and yes, that's a sunburn on my chest. I got sunburned in a Nordic country. Laugh it up while you can.
Okay, so we just left Anna Maria's like very low-key Bachelorette drinks and pizza, but Tammy and I, because
were Tammy and I. We convinced most of her bachelorette party to come out for drinks. And we're at a death metal, like a Finnish metal bar called The Riff. I'm having the best time. I just took salmiakki shots and I'm ready to get fucked up. Salmiakki, for the uninitiated, is Finnish salty licorice. It's black licorice flavored with ammonium chloride, and it's way saltier than you think it's gonna be. It's also a national delicacy, and in addition to regular salmiakki pastilles and licorice pieces, you can find salmiakki ice cream, chocolate, and yes, shots pretty much everywhere in Finland.
All right. Keep peace. Okay, actually, I really like that. Yeah. I love it. I quite like that.
The Riff was so much fun. Great vibes on there, and the cocktails were pretty great too, which I honestly wasn't expecting because it gives off more of a beer and liquor kind of vibe. Also, our bartender was Finnish, but his mother was English, so he spoke English with a perfect northern accent, which was a delight.
Yeah, the Riff, Helsinki.
Yeah.
After knocking back a couple cocktails at the Riff, the other ladies decided to call it a night, but Tammy and I still wanted to party a bit, so I made a rule for us for the night. Everywhere we went, we had to ask a bartender where we should have our next drink. So Tammy asked one of the bartenders at the Riff what she recommended, and we were off.
Walking through Helsinki. We're going... What? We're going to a bar?
Oh, we're so cute.
Oh, no, us. Stop.
Oh, stop.
Oh my God, stop. I'm on camera. I didn't know. How embarrassing.
The next bar was called Gate A21. It was okay, a little loud for my taste. I was looking for more of a chilled vibe. Also, it was very, very dark. Like, what is this footage? It looks like we're drinking in a closet. Maybe I'm just getting old, but I cannot fucking see. But we had our one drink at Gate A21 and then asked our bartender, an American, where we should go next. He recommended the Rooftop bar at Hotel Torni in order to take in the 11 p.m. sunset views of the city. To get to the top, you have to take a very narrow spiral staircase up.
Oh God, it's so steep. Oh my gosh. Hey, it's so steep. Oh no,
Oh, okay.
Traffic. Okay, we'll go back. Squish. Thank you. Okay. Okay, now we get to go.
All right.
Go fast before someone comes.
Before someone comes, go fast.
Oh my God, I'm so dizzy. Woo. Oh my goodness.
Hey.
We made it.
Atelier bar.
Nice and list. If you have any questions, let us know.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Oh, this is beautiful. Oh, yeah.
From Atelier Bar, we could take in all the sights of Helsinki. We both ordered coffee cocktails, a perfect way to end the night. And we stood out on the heated patios and admired the cityscape at twilight, which was so much later than it normally is for us simple Californians.
So you wouldn't know it because it looks like you're seeing the last vestiges of sunset there. But it's like 10 past 11 at night. It's like legitimately a late night.
Ocean.
I broke the news to Tammy earlier, and she thought we were getting an early night. She thought we were getting an early night because I was tired, and I was like, girl, we're gonna get home at midnight. She was like, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right.
It's 11:30 p.m.
But taking in the gorgeous views and enjoying delicious cocktails weren't the only reasons the bartender from Gate A21 sent us to Hotel Torni and the Atelier Bar.
So we came to this bathroom because our bartender told us
He said you gotta go to the bathroom.
you gotta go to the bathroom.
Also, the drinks are good, but go to the bathroom.
You can piss with a view on all sides. You just crouch and do your business.
It's pretty good.
With like a pretty good view of Helsinki.
The next day started a little slow, and our efforts to hair of the dog our situation were a little... Amy, what do you think of the low alcohol wine?
I want to get my wine, but I don't want to sit up. No! Okay, come here. Don't kick it off.
I got it for you. I was gonna pick it up with
The
your
feet
toes.
smell. The feet smell is honestly not going to make it smell any worse.
It's gonna be fine.
Oh, can you drink it with your toes?
Yeah. Wait. No, this is gonna
be bad.
I'd be able to hand it to you with my toes.
Can I have a sip?
Yeah.
This is disgusting.
It's working.
In the afternoon, we went to Laguni, a seaside activity center in Espo, because I had booked us a session in their floating smoke sauna. We got there a little early because we wanted to check out everything they have to offer. Laguni is situated in a little patch of the Baltic Sea. In addition to its smoke and electric saunas that are situated on floating docks and open year-round, it has a big water park thing that looks like a lot of fun, but that we were not really ready to brave that day, and water sports like wakeboarding, sup, and kayaking. We sat on a floating dock with a couple of drinks and watched the wakeboarders. The smoke sauna also had a little window from which you could view wakeboarders in the water park, and the electric sauna had a little window that overlooked the kayaking route. It was a quiet day early into the season, so the guy working the front desk said that even though we only booked the smoke sauna, we could use the electric one too, and that we should go back and forth to feel the difference. The smoke sauna definitely felt more intense to me, even though they were the same temperature. And of course, between sauna time, we could dip into the Baltic Sea, the traditional Finnish way.
Jump in. Just do it. Go, go, go.
Okay.
Oh no.
Are you frozen there?
You got it. It's deeper than you thought? You did it. Your turn.
Above the smoke sauna, there's a cool sun deck where I assume people sit and knock back long drink in the summertime. And we found a cool bird.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, he's so handsome.
Majestic. He's
Seriously.
huge too. You can't tell in the video, but he's huge.
He's massive.
He's like twice the size of a crow.
Yeah, he's huge. And he's posing. He knows what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Hi, baby.
Oh, look at that posing.
Hey, handsome boy.
You're beautiful and I love you. I love this bird.
A public sauna is such a fun experience. It was so nice talking to the other patrons outside, and everyone was so helpful and kind when they found out we were American. At one point, Tammy got a little lightheaded, and a couple of Finns started talking her through it and encouraging her to hydrate. In the sauna itself, people tend to be pretty quiet and respectful, but there was a moment in the smoke sauna. It was 80 degrees Celsius, and everyone was very clearly suffering, breathing through it. And the guy manning the lulu just kept throwing more water and more water on, making it feel hotter and hotter. And at one point he goes, in a thick accent, "It's too cold," and throws more on, and everyone in the room busted out laughing, including the other Finns. It was just such a fun moment to share with a bunch of strangers. Everyone at Laguni was really great. It was just such a nice way to spend an afternoon. It's a sunny day. The gang's all here. No chip on my shoulder. Early start to the day because we are getting the 7:30 a.m. ferry to Tallinn, Estonia. I booked the Celia Tallink ferry because I just Googled which ferry was best, and other than that, didn't really look much into it. And oh my goodness, we loved this ferry trip. This thing was like a dang cruise line. There's multiple bars and dining options, children's playrooms.
Whoa. Uh-oh. Kid on the run.
Game rooms, slot machines, lockers for your luggage, and comfortable tables and chairs.
All the amenities.
There's even an enclosed garden section on the aft end of the ship.
I love it.
Horse.
I need a whole ass horse for a lamp.
Also, there's a massive 3-floor duty-free shop, which is one of the cheapest places to get booze in Finland and one of the only places to get flavored vapes. So Finnish people will book round-trip journeys to Tallinn where they don't even leave the ship just to stock up on their substances.
Cheers.
Our 2-hour journey to Tallinn simply wasn't long enough, and they had to kick us off the boat. 11 out of 10.
From Estonia?
That's not Finland.
No, it's not Finland. It's a different place.
Oh, last to know.
Estonia is not Finland, but it is in the Schengen area, which means that they may not check your passport if you get the ferry from Helsinki to Tallinn, but absolutely bring it anyway because they do perform checks at random. And when we came back to Estonia later in the trip, we were asked for our passports. Tallinn was gorgeous. We stayed in the crew hotel in Old Town, and it was an absolutely perfect location. Once again, our room was huge, with massive windows overlooking the street so we could people watch.
And we have another sauna.
I love it here so much.
Oh my god, it's so cute.
And the crew Italian restaurant attached to it was incredible. Their grilled artichokes changed my life. We stayed in Tallinn for 2 nights and spent the entire trip within the walls of Old Town, which dates back to the 13th century. We spent our first afternoon just exploring the city's various gift shops.
So authentic. Oh. I mean, who's that? That's.
Honestly, from like across the room, I thought it was Kamala.
So, mouth. You gotta go here. Oh, and then you go. It works!
Latest in Estonian fashion.
We've got our horn clutch.
The horn clutch. Oh, is that
It's
a horn
bag.
clutch?
It's a bag. It's a drink.
It's a vibe.
It's a vibe. What the fuck is happening?
Oh my god, look, it says the president's. They just skipped Biden? They just skipped.
Okay.
It goes
What?
No.
Okay, maybe it was. Maybe
No,
this
they
is
skipped
45. This is when he was 45. They're old. Okay. Oh. I don't like that.
We also found a little museum of torture ticketed for like €9 and went in.
Let's go into the Museum of Torture.
This stuff is always fun, but I'm contractually required to be a know-it-all buzzkill here and say it's mostly hokum. Torture devices like the rack and thumb screws were real, but the exciting stuff like the Iron Maiden and anything that looks like it could double as a marital aid were all mostly inventions of 19th century imaginations.
Oh no, not the jerking.
But it's just like light jerking.
Not the jerking. Oh my god, you can't jerk. You can't. Oh yeah, I'd make little heart-shaped poops. That's kind of cute though.
Little heart shits.
Little heart shits.
No.
You don't even need one of these nowadays. We got that male loneliness crisis.
Turns out you really don't need to get too creative to torture confessions out of people.
Motherfucking tickle torture. I would confess immediately. Am I right?
In the medieval times of today, torture, get on a scale.
Am I right? She said, not me though, I'm so skinny.
A little sleep and food deprivation and a couple broken bones usually does the trick, which is why they're still used as enhanced interrogation techniques to this day.
We tortured some folks.
And as far as executions, unless you committed high treason and needed to be publicly drawn and quartered to send a message to other traitors, you were usually just shot, hanged, or beheaded, depending on your time period and social and economic status. Authorities weren't going to waste time and resources torturing the average criminal out of bloodlust. But I get it. It's fun to indulge in a little Dark Ages misinformation binge from time to time, like ghosts or Bigfoot. Okay, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. In the doorway of one of the shops, I spotted something more frightening than anything that could be found at the Museum of Torture. We stopped for a drink at a little medieval restaurant called the Pepper Sack. The building dates back to 1370, and the name hails from the owner of the building in the 16th century, Hans Peppersack, a spice merchant. Old Town Tallinn is such a wonderful place to explore, but be forewarned that all of the streets are cobblestone, so if you use mobility aids or strollers of any kind, get ready for an off-roading kind of experience.
It's so medieval.
So medieval.
It's so fucking medieval. It's so fucking medieval. Can you believe how medieval it is?
So medieval.
And not everything is super accessible. We went into this business specifically because the ceiling was so low and the stairs were so steep that we had to know where they led.
Steepest steps I've ever seen in my goddamn life. Get down there. Get in the cellar where you belong. Come on. Oh, God. I don't think I can bend down enough for this. I've never felt too tall for somewhere before.
It turns out it was a cool little artillery museum with a little shop of vintage weapons. The guy who worked there was very nice, and I think he thought we were funny, so he let us touch stuff.
What are you holding?
Just a mine. Just a German mine. Yeah.
Just casually.
Just casually. Oh my goodness.
I wanted to go to the old Hansa restaurant for dinner because my targeted ads on Instagram had me in a death grip and started sending me reels from Tallinn the moment I booked our ferry tickets. And even though we weren't ready for dinner yet, we decided to stop by the restaurant just to scope it out.
So we are coming to Old Hansa restaurant later on for dinner, but we wanted to peek in and see what it was like. And the bartender gave me a little coin.
The barmaid.
And she said to come back and give it to our server, and they will know what to do.
They'll know what to do.
No, we were the perfect girls for this kind of a mission because I don't know if you've noticed this yet, but we love a little theater. We love drama. We love audience interaction. You give me a piece of trash and tell me it's an important part of a puzzle, you've delighted me for the afternoon. But we weren't ready for food yet, so we kept our coins safe and went to explore some more.
Red, look! It's the wine library! It's the wine library! Oh, God.
We got a fucking 12th century Baskin Robbins over here.
Everywhere we turned were adorable little alleyways and courtyards. You could... What the hell? There's another one. Everywhere we turned were adorable little alleyways and courtyards. You could really get lost here. We decided to grab some wine and appetizers at the crew restaurant, and they seated us in this adorable little alleyway. Like I said, the food was amazing. The inside had this naked lady chandelier and a tammy. After lunch, we had a photo shoot and did a little more shopping.
It feels so wrong. His fingers are going down her panties.
Before making our way to Arkle Rooftop Bar, where we had drinks and enjoyed the view. Our bartender brought us these shots that kind of look like Pepto-Bismol in exchange for posting about Arkle on Instagram, which was nice.
Are you ready?
I'm so ready. This looks fucking disgusting.
It's in an icy glass, though.
It is in an icy glass.
It's strawberry
It looks
cream
like strawberry
tequila.
milk.
It's strawberry tequila. Ooh. No, I like it.
Pepto-Bismol. It's Pepto-Bismol.
I love it. So good.
After that, we made our way back over to crew again to try out a speakeasy that we'd spotted earlier upstairs of a gift shop right across the street from us. It was so cute inside, and when I say it was right across the street, I mean literally from our window.
So we are currently in a speakeasy that is so close to our hotel that you see that window with the window open? That's our hotel room. That's literally our hotel room right there.
Then Tammy decided to time herself running from the speakeasy to the hotel room, and I think it only took like a minute.
Get your boobs out. Get your boobs out. Get your boobs out.
Then we decided to take our coin to Old Hansa and see what they were all about. There was this very eccentric caller outside and also a lady giving out samples of sweet roasted almonds.
Good. Yes, I would try as well.
All right.
Thank you. I can recommend you to look at our rich merchant house as well.
Oh, we're going in.
Oh, we're going in.
We're going in.
We're going in.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's really good.
What should we get? What's the best?
What's the best? It depends. What do you like more? Are you like a meat guy or the drink guy?
a drink guy.
All of it.
I'm a drink guy.
Then I can maybe show you some from the menu. Some
Oh, right.
I can show you the best thing at any page.
Tell my friend.
All right. At this page for the drinks that I would like to recommend is dark honey beer.
All the menu sections had titles like Let Hunger Arise, and Birds of Water and Other Fishes, and Meat from Well-Kept Cattle, and every dish was an authentic medieval recipe.
For the enjoyment of royalty, of course. You gotta have the bear. It's actual bear. How do you feel about the bear? Are you getting the bear?
I always choose the bear.
We gave our coin to our waitress, and she brought us some free shots of house-made schnapps. It was delicious. We had mushroom soup and juniper cheese to start. I was a real big fan of their wine glasses. I ordered the 5 tastes of vegetarian origin plate from the Blessed Treasures of Gardens and Fields. And when our mains came, our waitress asked,
Enough weapons, right?
Enough
We have the weapons, yes.
I personally love this kind of cheesy shit. I think it's so cute. Tammy's main came with something that our waitress told us was the Estonian national dish, but I honestly can't remember what it was called, and Google isn't helping me.
Tammy's trying the Estonian national dish, which is some kind of meat jelly.
I thought it would be, no, it's not hard. That's very different.
Are you glad you tried it though?
Weird.
Every inch of every wall of the restaurant was adorned with painted frescoes and a medieval style. All of the staff were dressed in costumes, and the only lighting was by candlelight. It was adorable. Even the bathrooms were authentic.
You have to look at the signs, boys and girls.
We have to look at the signs.
Look at that. Ooh. He's peeing standing up, and she is peeing squatting down.
So that's how we know. Are you a stand up?
Or
Are you a sit down?
Oh no, she's squatting.
She's squatting. The toilets are authentic too because it is ripe in here.
How do you wash your hands in the medieval times? You tip. But then there's no soap, so then you just scoop out of a cup of soap.
The portions were generous, and we were unfortunately too full to order any sweet blessings to caress the soul. In fact, we were too full to really do anything, so we went back to the hotel and made ourselves horizontal until we fell asleep.
Tallinn day 2.
And we started the day with a couple of Aperol spritzes in the sunshine. While we were sitting enjoying our drinks, we spotted the prettiest pigeon. Like, I'm gonna take this thing home with me. But even the vermin are avoiding Americans at all costs nowadays.
Goodbye. I love you.
At 1 p.m., we met in the town hall square for yet another walking tour. This one was a little paid tour we booked through Expedia. It was about $40 per person. Our tour guide was Max. Again, he was just so informative and great. He gave us a really detailed 2-minute rundown of the history of Estonia and Tallinn at the top of the tour, and of course, I've already forgotten most of it, but like Finland, Estonia's history is mostly one of pretty consistent occupation and only a recent history as a free nation. While Finland was punted back and forth between the Russians and the Swedes, Estonia was mostly occupied by Russians and Germans, which is why a lot of the historic sites have Low German names. Like this one. Look at this one. Look at it. Look at that name. Very funny stuff. Some highbrow comedy right there. The walking tour had us on our feet, winding through so many cobblestoned alleyways, ancient towers, and pastel buildings. This old truck is sitting smack dab in the middle of town because the city council denied the landowner's request to build there, but also refused his asking price when he offered to sell it to them. So he parked his truck here as a passive-aggressive form of protest. The president of Botswana was visiting the day we were there, so we got to see the military practicing some kind of ceremony for him. Saw another pretty pigeon. The presidential palace is this gorgeous pink color, and right across from the Russian Orthodox Church, which apparently was also erected there as an act of passive aggression. They're a very passive-aggressive people, the Estonians. We spotted this very tiny car, and wait, what the hell? Eventually, our tour guide led us up to this gorgeous bird's eye view of the old town, and Jesus Christ, there's another one. We made our way down through the city streets and finished our tour back at the town hall square, where our guide pointed out the Reuptik, the town hall pharmacy, one of the oldest continuously running pharmacies in Europe. The oldest records of the Reuptik indicate that it was already on its third owner in the early 15th century. Inside, there's a museum of pharmacies and medicine, as well as just a regular old pharmacy counter, which I needed because all of my marathon blisters had, at that point, popped, and I had new ones forming from wearing cute little clogs on cobblestone streets. So I bought some Band-Aids from a 15th century pharmacy. We also obviously checked out the museum. Seasoned Tammy heads will know that when she's not in my videos, Tammy is a nurse. So it was cool getting to see what kind of nonsense she'd be treating people with back before germ theory and penicillin. After the pharmacy museum, we went to lunch, and our waiter brought us free shots of Vana Tallinn. Everyone in Estonia has been very generous with the free shots so far. Before we drank, he informed us that Vana Tallinn means Old Tallinn, and I said, oh, that makes sense. The Finnish word for old is vanha, which is similar to vana. Finnish and Estonian are in the same language group, and I kept having these moments throughout our time in Tallinn. I could look at text in Estonian and it would be meaningless to me, and then individual words, like the word for blueberry or whatever, would be almost identical to the Finnish word. So I'd have moments of being able to be helpful reading labels in grocery stores or whatever, and then other times where I'd be like, I have no idea what's going on. Before we drank the Vana Tallinn, I asked our waiter how to say cheers in Estonian.
Terviseks.
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 Which contains the Finnish root word terve, which is health. After that, we had more drinks. We do like drinking, in case you haven't noticed, at the bar next to our hotel. Our local, you could say. Then we ordered some blueberry shots because the word in Estonian is mustika, which is similar to mustika in Finnish.
How do you get it? I got no liquor in that. I just got. Wait, no, I did get liquor.
All cream, no juice.
Oh, I did get some liquor. Jam is like.
Is there a little sugar in there?
The cream is like a plug.
It really is. It's a plug. You got it. All right. That's for you, the content.
I'm gonna get so many replays. Give me your money.
Which is as good a time as any to plug my Patreon and channel memberships. Please. I just took a 2.5-week trip to Finland and Estonia, and I'm so poor. And I'm probably going to get hit with limited ads when YouTube's content filter picks up on how deeply I'm tonguing this shot. If you appreciate the work I'm doing here, throw a few dollars my way. I think I even showed feet in this video. I won't show feet again until I at least double whatever my current patronage is. That's a promise.
It's night 2 in sauna. It's night 2 in Tallinn. We're getting ready to sauna, which we were planning on doing before. But now we're a little stressed out because we were at the grocery store getting some snacks for our hotel room. Sure. And Tammy over here.
Okay, well, that's tell everyone in business.
Tammy did a little poot, a little fart, and set off the fire alarm.
There's no one around. We don't know that I set off the fire alarm. It just was weird.
As soon as she pooted, the fire alarm went.
I said, we gotta get out of here. We gotta go. Amanda, get your shit. We gotta go.
So we're very stressed out, and we need a little sauna time.
After sauna, we sat back in our massive windows, sipped some red wine, and watched the people walking below until bed. The next morning, we checked out of our hotel, but we had a full day of wandering Old Town Tallinn before we needed to get the 7 p.m. ferry back to Helsinki. We wandered into this cute cellar restaurant for a drink and a look. The sign says welcome in Estonian and Finnish, and the words are very similar. They had a guest book sitting out, and I always try to sign those whenever I see them. I think it's sweet, and more places should do it.
Tammy, you look so tall. Did you get really tall?
I'm not very tall.
You're so tall. You're as tall as that door.
As tall as that door.
You're as tall as that door. Oh my god, she's so tall and lanky. Oh my god.
Everyone says that about
Is that a model?
So lanky.
It's always so nice to have days like this where you don't have any scheduled tours or plans and you can just wander and explore. Especially in a place like Old Town Tallinn, where you can spend hours getting lost in winding 13th century alleyways.
They're gonna put us in there if we feed the birds. Do not feed the fucking birds.
You'll end up in the little baby dungeon.
Aww. It's kind of cute though. And I won't have to pay rent anymore.
Eventually, we followed the sound of distant music down an alleyway until we came upon a tavern called the Headless Chicken. We went inside and... Apparently they were actually closed for a private event and we just kind of crashed these guys' rehearsal, but they were all very sweet and let us watch and film for a moment. If they had been open, it would have been over for us. Tammy and I would have been hanging out with these guys all day. We wandered a little more and entered the courtyard of an ancient monastery that happened to have one of those take a book, leave a book shelves, and Tammy found a copy of Hillary Clinton's memoir and showed off her language skills.
Oh. What's it say?
It says... the project.
Oh wow! I didn't realize that you spoke Estonian. Really could have used that earlier.
I didn't want to show
Is it
you.
Estonian? Is it Polish? I don't know what it is.
I think it's Russian. I don't know. I don't know. That's great. I love that that's the book that...
Well, we're in a country that respects a girl boss, you know?
After brushing up on our Clintons, we headed inside the old monastery museum. As Americans with, let's say, limited access to historical sites, it feels really special to get to walk the same floorboards and run our fingertips along the same stone walls that someone 500 years ago touched.
It's like I just walked through a portal. I just got super emotional. I mean, it's really incredible to think that someone in the 1500s carved this and I'm standing here touching it today.
Yeah.
You know?
After leaving the monastery museum, we came upon this pretty glasswork shop run by a guy named Kai Koppel. We watched Kai blow the glass for a bit, and Tammy bought a glass.
This is what happens if you feed the birds in Tallinn. They pump shit right in your house. Right in your fucking house. They get so mad. They get so mad. They pump shit in your house.
I honestly can't even remember where we saw the Don't Feed the Birds sign, but clearly we were dining out on that for the entire trip. I don't even remember why we found it so funny. We had a look around this beautiful old church we spotted on the first day before heading to Rataskevu 16 for a late lunch. This restaurant was recommended by our tour guide the day before, and he said that it's almost impossible to get in without a reservation, but it was around 3, which is an odd time of day, so we decided to shoot our shot and got seated right away. It exceeded our expectations. The food was incredible, but also the level of service was next level. With every dish that came out, our waiter, German, crouched by the table and walked us through everything, even giving us the history of some of the food and beverages served. For dessert, we had traditional Estonian bread pudding with Estonian ice cider.
Because the apples they make the cider from are frozen, so it's a specific technique to make it. And all apples are Estonian grown, and also they age it in the oak barrel for 18 months, which means for us to get to this moment where we try it, it's an almost 2-year process.
Wow, incredible.
And there comes the color as well.
Seriously, we loved this place.
Tammy asked for a Bailey's coffee, and they actually make homemade Baileys here.
Oh my god.
Toward the end of our meal, one of the other waiters who'd been chatting with us before we were seated asked us what we thought of the Estonian language. And I said that I actually spoke a little Finnish and that it sounds like I'm hearing Finnish, but I'm also having a stroke, so nothing makes any sense. Or rather, even less sense than the language that I'm still not at all fluent in. From there, we had a long chat about the languages that he speaks and what languages are taught in Estonian schools, and it was just really interesting just to hear someone else's perspective. I regretted that American schools don't place as much of an emphasis on language learning as European schools, but he said that at the same time, studying isn't enough. You gotta just get out there and start communicating. Maybe that's been part of my problem with Finnish all this time. I'm not putting myself out there. Eventually, it was time to make our way... Wait!
Everywhere we go, these fucking things.
Eventually, it was time to make our way home. As we neared the gates of Old Town, we happened upon a saxophonist playing the Estonian national anthem, Espresso Macchiato by Tommy Cash.
Went dancing with the demons. Mi amore, espresso macchiato, macchiato, macchiato.
And then we got an Uber to the harbor and got our ferry back to Helsinki. I was tired, so I holed up in this nice booth rather than walking around, and we bid a fond farewell to Tallinn.
Let's do that. Whoa. Yeah, we gonna go? We gonna go? You excited? Woo!
The next day, we headed to Linnanmäki, Castle Hill, a theme park in Helsinki that's literally older than Disneyland. And just as impressive.
So scary. It's very scary.
It's a compact little park, but they pack a lot in it, both kiddie rides and roller coasters. The day we were there was some kind of school trip, so there were middle school-aged and teenage kids everywhere, which was a little scary for a couple of childless women in the 35 to 44 age bracket, but, you know, we persevered. Actually, at one point, Tammy remarked how well-behaved the kids were. We probably only saw one or two chaperones the entire time, and American school kids would have been going feral, but Finnish kids were all pretty tame. We also noticed that they mostly hung out in gendered groups, like little clusters of all boys and all girls. I don't really know if that's a cultural thing or a Gen Alpha thing. When we were in middle and high school, field trips to the theme park were opportunities to make out with your boyfriend in line. The kids may have been well behaved, but we're adults and the rules don't apply to us, so we snuck shots on the Ferris wheel.
We had a little illegal shot. Really bad vodka on the Ferris wheel. And it was nasty.
The queue for this indoor roller coaster was basically the queue for Disney's Space Mountain. The ride itself was weird. You can ride it normal, like you can raw dog it, or you can wear a VR headset and choose your own adventure. So obviously we did that. We both chose the haunted house adventure, obviously. And I'm glad we did, because the roller coaster itself was pretty tame, but when you have the VR set on, you don't know where you're going or what's going to happen next. So that kind of heightens the experience a bit. What was not tame, at least for Tammy, was this little G-Force ride.
This ride was like 25 minutes that I just went on. This? No.
This was the one ride that did Tammy in. Big roller coasters, totally fine. This little spinny guy.
It's a bad ride.
Ruined her day.
It's a bad ride. It's not a good ride.
Okay, well this kind of makes up for almost puking, doesn't it?
What if I throw up in them?
I don't think they would like that.
Maybe little cups.
And then I spotted the best ride of all, the horsies.
I want to ride the fucking horsey. Here he comes. Yeah, I want to ride that fucking horsey so bad.
I rode the horsey and it was just as magical as I'd hoped. It was the best ride of the day. The second best ride of the day was Taiga, a launch coaster that was, no exaggeration here, one of, if not the best roller coaster I've ever been on. It had not one, but 2 launches. It was so good that I paid 16 whole euros for this video of our ride. Worth every penny.
Okay, so like one of the ways in which the Finnish character of shyness kind of like brushes up against our Americanism in a weird way.
It is. Never be me.
There's a whole bunch of thrill rides here, and these like 12 and 13-year-old Finnish kids are coming off of these very scary thrill rides, stone-faced, absolutely stone-faced. And Tammy and I are losing our shit, and we are not playing it up.
Cackling.
Like, cackling,
They were
screaming,
looking at us like, are they
were
okay?
Crazy. And I was like, no, I'm not okay. I just
flipped
got
all
off
over
the
the place.
scariest ride of my goddamn life.
No one else was there. They didn't do it. What the hell?
I don't... It's a real clash of cultures here. It's a real culture shock.
But Taiga and the other roller coasters at Linnanmäki weren't even close to the scariest rides on offer. That honor was reserved exclusively for
They are here just so well.
No, look at this little part right here.
This is sick. They really put that in there.
Look at his face.
That guy looks like
He's yacked out of his fucking board.
Sorry you all had to see that. Hopefully you weren't watching with small children in the room. Now, we had originally wandered into that nightmare because the outside looked like an old-fashioned funhouse, and after enduring horrors beyond human comprehension, we did manage to find the actual funhouse, and we went in and had more fun than is permissible in polite society.
This is how I trained for the marathon. Little hamster wheel. Oh, you almost did it.
I did pretty good.
Yeah. Okay, well, you earned that one. Beautiful.
Well, they can't all be winners.
Yes, there she is. Just like at the airport. My nemesis.
Yeah. Pink Pony Club.
It was truly such a wonderful day. I was really charmed by Linnanmäki, especially this corner of it with all the kiddie rides. There was a main stage and a really good band playing. There was this weirdly chill bathroom. There was a bug. And there was a cute little monorail where they did not perform safety checks.
We started going and the door just opened.
It just swung open.
Just by itself.
You're in danger, girl.
But I thought the coolest thing about Linnanmäki was the wooden roller coaster, Vuoristorata. Vuoristorata is the Finnish word for roller coaster. It literally translates to mountain track. So we got a roller coaster that is so old, it's just named the roller coaster. It was opened in 1951 and is one of the last remaining roller coasters operated by a brake master, literally a person who stands on the back of the roller coaster and works the brakes. New dream job unlocked. I want to be a brake master now. I want to master the brakes. Also, you can smell this roller coaster from like 40 yards away. It smells like a sauna. It's got to be constructed out of like spruce or something. It's incredible. I've never been on a wooden roller coaster that still smells so strongly of fresh cut wood. We stayed until the park closed around 7, and Tammy called an Uber to take us home. Now, Tammy is short for Tamara, and when we got into the car, our driver said in Finnish that that was a Russian name and asked if she was Russian. I told him no and said we were American and asked if he spoke English, and he didn't. He said that he was from, if I recall, Uzbekistan, and he spoke Uzbek, Russian, and Finnish, but no English. So I was thrown into it a little bit. I had to use my Finnish. And I did. I spoke to him in Finnish the whole way home. It was very broken, very bad Finnish on my part, but we communicated for a whole 20-minute drive. He was very easy to understand because since Finnish also wasn't his first language, he spoke it slowly and patiently. It was a really big confidence boost for me. Tammy eventually got her camera out and recorded a bit of our conversation. Watching it back, I'm definitely rougher than I remember. I was blushing and sweating and stumbling through, but I felt really proud of myself. It was the first time I felt like I might be approaching at least some elementary proficiency with my second language. Like something approaching casual fluency might someday be in reach. It was exhilarating.
Niin vaikea.
Tosi vaikea kieli.
Joo.
That's so cool.
The following day was rainy. We decided to take a quick trip into Helsinki to buy the last of our souvenirs, and we stopped at this brand new restaurant, Victor's Garden, for lunch. They had literally opened up that week, and the food and cocktails were delicious. Then we went home and had an early night before Anna Maria's wedding the next morning.
We got salmiakki ice cream, we got licorice ice cream. It's so fucking good. It's so fucking good. It's the best.
Okay, I'm not going to show you any videos from the wedding because you guys weren't invited, but obviously it was lovely and wonderful and we had a great time. I sang a song in Finnish and I fucked it up. During dinner, I was sat at a table of people who all spoke perfect English, but after my experience with the Uber driver, I felt much more comfortable slipping in the odd sentence in Finnish here and there. The reception was held at the Emma, the Espo Museum of Modern Art, which was super cool because afterwards we got to wander the museum and check out all of the art.
There's something about this painting that really speaks to me. I don't know what it is, but I really like it. It's really nasty. I hate it and I love it at the same time. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. Surrounded by all the trees.
Cute.
Rakastan sitä. We're moving out of our beautiful Airbnb. Goodbye, Airbnb. We love you.
I keep calling it an Airbnb, but now that I think of it, I don't even think we actually booked through Airbnb. It's just a vacation rental. Has Airbnb become the generic term for vacation rentals like Kleenex has for facial tissues? Anyway, Anna Maria and her husband and kid came and picked us up at 9, and we drove to the harbor to catch yet another Tallinn ferry, but this time we'd be boarding through the garage. Once aboard, Tammy and I got some provisions.
So we're videoing.
Yeah, it's a video.
Okay.
And wandered the ship.
Oh, just a pretty lady casually drinking in the garden bar. Are we in Las Vegas? No. We're on the ferry to Tallinn. Yeah, baby. Come on.
Come on, big money, big money.
Big money, big money. Don't do online gambling. Only do gambling on a ship.
At one point, Anna Maria asked if I could watch her kid for a bit so she could eat some food. So Tammy and I went with her to the playroom. And when I tell you, I played with this kid so hard, I was asleep by 8:30 that night. I honestly don't know how parents do it. 1 hour of play whooped my ass. I also was just confident enough with my Finnish now that I could adequately be silly with a 4-year-old who doesn't understand English, and I was going to take that opportunity. When we arrived in Tallinn, we hopped in the car and drove about 2 hours south to Pärnu, a cute little beach town in southwest Estonia. We didn't spend a lot of time at the beach because cold, but Pärnu is full of so many pretty tree-lined streets with these adorable Victorian houses. It was adorable. We stopped at this cute-ass little Italian restaurant for lunch, which had a pizza titled America, which... Let me just say, you put these toppings together on a pizza in America and Hank Hill will personally kick your ass. Like, I don't know what kind of freak shit Estonians think go on in the US of A, but ruining a pizza is not one of them. Hawaiian pizza is one thing, and that's controversial enough, but adding corn to the mix is the kind of degeneracy I'd expect from the British. In fact, corn on pizza is so British-coded that my mind also filled in mayonnaise on the ingredients list because every British person I've ever known likes to squeeze unholy amounts of mayo on their corn and barbecue chicken affronts on the concept of pizza. And it's only now that I'm returning to my footage that I see that there isn't, in fact, any mayo on this American pizza. No idea what the paprika is about either. I am deeply offended by this Stephanie's Pizza of Pärnu, Estonia. Deeply offended. My margarita pizza was pretty decent though, thanks for that.
Okay, the watermark on my bill for my food is a picture of a chef, but you look at it upside down and you tell me what I thought it was.
After lunch, we wandered Pärnu a bit. Not sure if it was for the walk or because we were a little lost, but eventually we found a grocery store and stocked up the rooms a bit.
What the hell is going on here? What?
And after that, we crashed. I fell asleep hours before the sun even set, which, to be fair, is very late this time of year. Our trip to Pärnu was a little bit more of a traditional vacation. You know, we were there to relax, eat complimentary breakfasts in the hotel, have spa treatments.
Look at these hot fucking underwear they gave me when I got a massage in Pärnu. Oh my god. I'm definitely taking these home.
Visit the pool.
See how cool the pool is? It's got jets in it and it's heated. Right in the center of the pool area is a sauna. And there's the hot tub over there. And there's another sauna behind me. Oh, and me.
Go to the beach.
'Cause it's the ladies' beach and the feelings beach. Yeah, it's the ladies' beach. Oh, what a beach. Oh, jugs! Oh, well, this is going in the YouTube video. It's getting demonetized, girlies. Limited monetization. Woo!
Just girly things.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, why am I horny right now?
For dinner, we ate at this fantastic Georgian restaurant, and it was just a mountain of food. I had never had Georgian food before. It was delicious. And then we went back to the hotel and went to bed. The whole Pärnu leg of the journey was very low-key. It was nice to have a couple of days of just hanging out at the pool and resting before making our way home. You know, really savor a couple of days of not needing to be anywhere or do anything before lugging 80 pounds of shit to the airport so you can board a 10-hour flight and then chain yourself to your desk 8 hours a day, slogging through hours of footage that you're going to have to painstakingly shape into something approaching a meaningful narrative because you committed yourself to a project and you've taken on a sponsor and a deadline and you like the work that you do and you're pretty sure that this video is one you're going to be super proud of, but the clock is ticking and the pressure is on and sometimes you just want to sit in a pool and forget about everything, okay?
There's so many little weird islands. Little weird islands. Well, way in the distance.
On the ferry back to Helsinki, Tammy gambled away her life savings at the slot machine.
Ooh, big money, big money! Oh my gosh. Big money.
Oh, come on, Crazy Beaver, don't so
No
well.
money.
No money.
No money.
I prefer big money.
Oh, okay. Well, all you had to do was say it. 40 whole centaroos.
I prefer big money.
Oh.
I was led to believe that would work.
Tammy, did you win big?
I was making all I lost all my money. I hate my juice.
It's a cautionary tale. Don't gamble, kids.
This place is stupid.
Luckily, you don't need a life savings when there's credit cards, so we bought a bunch of souvenirs in the massive duty-free store and got a couple of drinks and sat in the garden looking out at the sea. Our hotel for the last night was actually in Helsinki Airport. It's located in Terminal 2 just below the departures lobby, which also happened to be the terminal we were departing from. I've never had such a convenient airport hotel experience. We were gonna roll right out of bed and onto that plane. We had dinner at a little restaurant in the terminal and then literally just went back to our room to chill out and watch History Channel shows in Finnish. A couple of my friends had asked me to pick up a bottle of Valhalla liqueur for them, and neither Tammy nor I had tried it, so we got little mini bottles to try in our room just for fun. Okay, we are watching history documentaries, and we're about to taste some Valhalla together. It's our little like airport hotel. It's very cute. We got like matching. These are our twin beds. It looks like we're sharing a bed, but it's actually twin beds. Not gay. No homo.
Okay, but we're excited we're gonna try this. What if we love it and we didn't get to buy a bigger bottle?
What if we hate it and we're just about to embarrass ourselves? All right.
You go first.
Yippies. Oh, I do like that. It's like sweeter Bundaberg.
Oh.
It's like herbaceous. It's not as nasty as fish shot.
It's like Jaeger.
Long drink, tall boys.
Our flight wasn't until 4 p.m. the next afternoon, so we had the morning to grab a little breakfast in the terminal and get up to a few last hijinks before we needed to head upstairs and check in.
You having a good time with him?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
What did you just tell him?
Oh, it's between us. I think he knows.
And then we went to the airport, where both of our bags clocked in overweight. Tammy managed to move stuff around and work it out. I had to pay for a second checked bag. Once again, thank you so much to all my patrons and channel members.
We had a really stressful check-in process, and now we need to get some juice.
So stresso.
No need to be a stresso.
My little pro tip for travel is if you're ever going to have a layover or something that's more than 4 hours, check to see if the club in the terminal is selling any day passes. Usually they're not restricted to first class passengers, and they'll let you in for like $50 or $60, and anyone who's ever eaten in an airport terminal can tell you that one crappy meal will set you back that much. Clubs often have unlimited drinks and hot and cold food, Wi-Fi, more comfortable seating. It's just worth it. We completely lucked out this time, and not only were they selling passes, but they were running a special rate, 33 euros for 2 hours, which was about exactly how long we needed before our flight started boarding. Here we are, ready to go home. Yeah. Our flight back was about as uneventful as the flight out. Champagne and self-care, you know the deal. Except this time we were chasing the sun instead of flying away from it, so when we flew over Greenland, we could actually see it.
That's all that's left of it.
Oh dear. Because we're over Greenland.
We're over Greenland.
Oh, look, we're coming off on a landmass.
This is incredible.
I've never seen it. Don't look at my face.
We both watched Love Lies Bleeding, which made up for the lack of horniness in Challengers. It was a very horny film. And 10 short hours later, we were home. Home, sweet pile of dirt.
Oh my god, I can't believe I'm so bad at this. Why?
I think there's this conventional wisdom that there's a narrow window of opportunity with certain skills, like fluency in another language, and once that closes, you're shut out. And there does seem to be some research to suggest that if you want to speak a language with the fluency of a native, you really have to start before the age of 10. That there's a marked decline in the ability to pick up another language after the age of 18. People so often attribute this decline to our brains setting like jello when we reach adulthood, without considering the incredible demands on our time and energy that also coincide with turning 18 and entering college or the workforce. Children's brains are like little sponges, and I guess they can pick up a lot of things faster than adult brains, but children also freely pursue their hobbies and acquire skills at a time of their lives when they're typically unburdened by the responsibilities of adulthood. For now, anyway. Old dogs may simply not have the time to master new tricks. Old dog's gotta go be the assistant manager at Big Lots for 8 hours a day to increase shareholder value, or the landlord is gonna evict them from the doghouse. But mastery and success needn't be the end goal. I wish we did live in a world that offered everyone the time and resources to master a new language, or classical violin, or breakdancing, or whatever it is that they want to pursue, at whatever age they decide to pursue it. But even though we don't, even though many of us may never be as good at something as we want to be, I think the attempt is worthwhile anyway. I've been studying Finnish for 5 years, and I still can't speak it. But at the end of the day, the time that I've spent doing it was time that was just for me. It's an hour of my week that I've claimed fully for myself, for my own spiritual and emotional enrichment. It doesn't matter if I ever master it. I practice it. In his seminal work, goodreads.com/quotes 1309751, Karl Marx wrote, "The less you eat, drink, buy books, go to the theater or to balls or to the pub, and the less you think, love, theorize, sing, paint, fence, etc., the more you will be able to save, and the greater will become your treasure, which neither moth nor rust will corrupt. Your capital. The less you are, the less you express your life, the more you have, the greater is your alienated life, and the greater is the saving of your alienated being." It's actually super fucking important that you pursue your hobbies, because they're literally what make you human and not alien. Even if you suck at them forever, you have a moral duty to stick it to the interests of capital and do the things that are in the interests of your own self-actualization, besties. And who knows? If you commit to sucking long enough, someday, you might even stick the landing.
Yeah, you got it! Yay! Yay!
Anna Maria, I'm sorry I messed up the lyrics in front of all of your friends and family. Pretend I sang it more like this.
Sinua rakastan, paina päähäni pimeän seppeleen, jottain sinua näkisi. Miten taitavat linnut sipensä, miten vyöryvät vedet kallioiden alla, miten nousevat metsät tuulten mukana, ja pilvien sateet jähmetyvät kiveksi. Sinua rakastan, paina päähäni pimeän seppeleen, jottain sinua näkisi. Miten huuto minulla avaruus, miten kirkuvat tähdet ohimoni läpi, miten itkevät lapset maailman rannoilla, rakastan, niin liiku pehmeä kätesi, kuin vene varhain aamuisella joella.
Good enough.
Oh, yeah! You got it! There it is!
Facebook.
There it is!
Huge job.